Welcome back. Hello, this is our December episode. This is Regarding.
We're two P.O.C.
Recommend Theater in NYC.
My name is Ray Yamanochi. I'm a playwright.
My name is Maria Paz-Alegre. I'm an artist and a theater critic.
And we got great shows today, but it looks like you're about to head out.
Oh yes, I'm facilitating at the People of Color Conference for the NAIS, National Association of Independent Schools in Nashville. Like and subscribe. Enjoy the winter.
Oh, okay. Fun. So I guess it's just you and me this month. Alright, so I'm doing this dolo today without Maria because she had other plans, but I'm gonna hold it down for you. I got 3 shows today, and crazy, this episode is basically a display in Black excellence. We have 3 shows, all with Black playwright-director combinations. First, we have What to Send Up When It Goes Down, written by Alicia Harris and directed by Whitney White. 2, we got Slave Play, written by Jeremy O. Harris, directed by Robert O'Hara. And 3, we have Fabulation, or The Re-Education of Undine, written by Lynn Nottage and directed by Liliana Blaine Cruz. So, stay tuned, buddy. What to Send Up When It Goes Down is written by Alicia Harris, directed by Whitney White, and produced by the Movement Theater Company. Patrick Dorismond, Botham Jean, Sandra Bland, Trayvon Martin. What to Send Up When It Goes Down is part ritual, part theatrical vignettes, and part love letter that viscerally explores the Black experience in America by honoring the victims of police violence from the past to uplift all of us in the present, to pave the way for us in the future. Directed by emerging director Whitney White, this is Alicia Harris's sophomore effort following Is God Is, which was at Soho Rep earlier this year, and now being turned into a film by Scott Rudin, so stay tuned for that shit. Maria and I were huge fans of the show, so I was very excited about What to Send Up, and let me tell you, it did not disappoint. The show begins in the lobby before you even get into the space. When you walk in, you're met with a gallery full of photos of Black people who were killed by the police. Eric Garner, Tamir Rice, Trayvon Martin, I mean, the list goes on. It's a solemn but powerful statement that penetrates the news headlines and extracts the personal and very human side of it. The show itself is a very unique experience. It requires audience participation, so beware. You're asked to stand in a circle with the cast and other audience members to perform these ritual exercises that expose the very personal effects of police aggression and societal harassment against Black people. My audience had a lot of Black people, so this was very effective, but I'm really curious to see how it plays when there aren't that many Black people. I wonder what that's gonna be like. Once the actors take the stage, the show utilizes small vignettes that all explore themes of microaggressions, various ways that Black bodies are seen in society, revanchist fantasies that parody Driving Miss Daisy and The Maids, among a slew of other things. The show is written with the same razor-sharp wit and lyricism that was a defining characteristic of Is God Is. The poetry and the language is echoed in the fluid and carefully choreographed movements of the actors. Whitney White beautifully extracts the essence of each vignette and cohesively strings it together for a very cathartic finish. A send-up, if you will, of one Black victim of police violence that is established at the top of the show. So for our show is Patrick Dorismond, but you know, for other shows it might be someone different. The acting is really great, and what's also wonderful is that you can tell that they're all very emotionally united. Also, I have to add, this show is funny, so you could just let yourself laugh. There's a lot of humor and joy in the show that's interspersed really effectively to make the show's journey really, really exciting. The set design is very simple. It's a chalk circle just in the center of the playing space, and the lighting is very sparse, but this contrast is very effectively executes the show's purpose to objectively observe what's taking place. It asks the audience to look at each other and think about our impact on our peers, particularly our Black peers. Really, really powerful stuff. It's a super unique theatrical experience that's, you know, you really can't get it anywhere else. I can't recommend this enough. It's at ART Theater in Midtown. It runs until December 16th. It just got extended, so get your ass over there. Slave Play is written by Jeremy O. Harris, directed by Robert O'Hara, and produced by New York Theater Workshop. 3 Black-white interracial couples engage in an antebellum-themed sexual role play. As the couples unpack their experiences, their unconscious desires and racist baggage begin to unravel themselves. A current Yale University graduate student with 2 New York premieres in 1 season, Jeremy O. Harris is basically the prodigal son of theater right now. So this was a pretty intense show. We as a society have a particular aversion to politicizing our relationships and desires because I think people are afraid of what it might reveal about our unconscious or conscious biases. But I have a huge fascination with it, so this show was right up my alley. It's very provocative and poses very, very interesting points, specifically about the gaze of black and white people toward each other and the effects of white guilt. The writing is very acerbic. It's grounded in realism, but it carries a real rawness to it, especially in Act 2 when Jeremy starts to unpack all these ideas from Act 1. I'm not gonna go into what that means because it would spoil some of the show, but it basically explores the black-white gaze in various ways that's linked to the black character's sense of agency. Act 2 is where the play really lives, and I think Robert O'Hara did a great job of keeping pace in what could have otherwise been a very heady and really slow scene. The set designed by Clint Ramos is this basically huge mirror in the back of the stage that reflects the audience with lyrics from WHARF prominently sitting atop it. I thought it was a really interesting design choice, even if it might have been a bit heavy-handed. For a mostly white or even black audience, I think this design would have been very effective. But for someone like me or a more diverse, racially diverse audience in general, I feel this idea of self-reflection is less effective when the themes are based purely on black and white binaries. I'm probably asking for too much, but this is where I think Jeremy could have gone a little deeper into the exploration. How do the characters in the play feel in positions of submission that also correlate to our collective and personal history? Our modern form of systemic racism stems directly from American slavery, so how does that generational trauma affect not only our desire, but our sense of being? Especially since those two are inextricably linked. How desirable we feel in society is very much tied to our own self-worth, and invoking the country's most horrific trauma makes me think of these deeper historical ramifications. You know, obviously that's my own sort of personal baggage I feel like I'm bringing to this play, but maybe that's sort of what the play is trying to do. That being said, you know, it's really, really excellent. It's a big conversation starter. I say definitely go check it out. Runs at the New York Theater Workshop until December 30th, so you got to the end of the year, check it out. Fabulation, or the Re-Education of Undine, is written by Lynn Nottage, directed by Liliana Blaine Cruz, and produced by Signature Theater. Undine is a famous, successful, and very rich CEO of her own PR firm with the world at her fingertips. That is, until she finds out that her gorgeous Argentinian husband, Hervé, embezzled all of her money, leaving her dead broke. Now, returning to her humble roots of the Walt Whitman projects in Brooklyn with her family, she gets herself in a slew of wacky, quirky, and absurd situations that make her reflect on all that she has lost in her pursuit of fortune. So according to my Wikipedia research, this show premiered in 2004 at Playwrights Horizons, and so this is a revival of Lynn Nottage's hilarious social satire on class and capitalism and being black in America. Ruined, Sweat, Intimate Apparel, Malima's Tale is how I'm familiar with Lynn Nottage's work, so I was genuinely surprised at how fucking funny this play was. Truthfully, the play moves more like a TV show, utilizing asides that are more reminiscent of Zach Morris's timeouts in Saved by the Bell than, I don't know, let's say Shakespeare for lack of a better example. However, the show sucks you right in with their lovable cast of characters and its compelling redemption story that I was just happy to go along for the ride. Through Undine's spiral into bankruptcy, though she doesn't really file for it because pride and hubris, obviously. We see how expendable and hollow she is without money, how her unrelenting desire to be profitable, whether financially or socially, has made her lose sight of her own humanity. Nottage creates these exaggerated and quirky characters that play on this idea of fabulation, or invented stories that blur the line between the everyday and the fantastic. This is where the satire really works. Played by Charisse Booth, Undine's fabulation of herself is the thematic pillar of this play, but Lynn Nottage also paints each ancillary character in two tones: how society sees them, their fabulation, and their true nature, one we discover through Undine's own re-education, if you will. Under Blaine Cruz's deft direction, we see these two sides very clearly. The set was a malleable, multi-purpose design that allowed for quick location changes, with the help of the lighting, of course. It was a functional and effective way to tell this very fast-paced narrative, and the acting ensemble was great at switching in and out of the various eccentric characters. I highly recommend it. It's super funny, and you know, it's just nice to go to the theater and not feel like you need to be so, I don't know, heavy and sad all the time. Like, this shit just makes you laugh, and anything that makes you laugh nowadays, I think, is good for the soul. It's at the Signature Theater until January 6th, so go for it. This month, our guest is the AD of Long War.
Really, Ray?
I thought you were away.
First of all, how dare you? Second of all, clearly I'm back. You thought you were going to interview the Latin guest? Please. Okay. Oh, hi. Welcome back. It's so good to see you. We are going to be having an artistic director of both the Soul Project and Long War Theater. Bienvenido, Jacob Padrón.
Hey guys, how's it going? Happy to be here.
Jacob Padrón, welcome to Regarding.
Thank you so
Thank
much for coming to our amazing studio.
Thank you for having me.
Apartment.
This is awesome.
Please tell us about the Soul Project. You're the founder and artistic director.
Well, first, I just want to say thank you for having me on the show. It's really fantastic just to be able to be here with you and to be in conversation with both of you. So thanks.
No, thank you. Thank you for...
Shout out to both of you.
Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Soul Project is a new theater initiative that I started with 6 other artists. We launched officially in May of 2016. And gosh, 2 years ago. But basically, it's a theater initiative that works in partnership with leading theaters in New York and around the country to amplify the voices of Latinx playwrights and build artistic homes for artists of color. That is what we do. The model, just to share a little bit about how the model works, is that the hope is that we will identify 12 Latinx playwrights, and then we partner each writer to a company who commits to producing their plays. In addition, we ask each company to commission a writer, a Latinx writer, for future production, and then also to meet with as many artists of color, directors, designers, dramaturgs, that maybe they don't know. The idea being that we want to really grow the community that these artistic directors and these companies can draw from over an extended period of time.
And what kind of productions have you done so far? I know one of our favorite ones was Oedipus El Rey, which we talked about last season.
So good.
Yeah. There's a Luis Alfaro.
Yes, Luis Alfaro. He was the third writer that we supported in partnership with the Public Theater. So we started with a play by Hilary Betis. It was a play called Alligator, and we did that in partnership with a company called New Georges. It's run by Susan Burnfield and Janie Saunders-Tiller, and it was amazing. It was amazing to be able to give Hilary this her off-Broadway debut in partnership with a company that has committed to supporting women artists. Our second partnership was with Rattlestick Playwrights Theater, and that was Martin Zimmerman's play 7 Spots on the Sun, which was pretty great. And what was really special about that also was the director. Her name was Wayne Mengesha, who actually is based in Toronto. She's actually taking over Soul Pepper Theater Company. But she was able to make her New York debut with the show, and then Oedipus El Rey with Che-Yu, and then we decided we wanted to expand our footprint outside of New York, and so we worked with Yale Rep, and we worked on a new show by Charisse Castro-Smith. It was her play El Huracán, and it was a kind of a loose...
I didn't know that was you. That's amazing.
So it was a kind of loose adaptation of The Tempest. And Charisse was actually one of the first writers that we approached when we had the idea for the Soul Project, and she only had maybe 30 pages of the play. She said, I'm working on this kind of loose adaptation of The Tempest. It's a very personal play, and I would love to develop it with the Soul Project. So we worked on that play for a little over 2 years, and then was very fortunate to find a partner in Yale Rep. And then Lori Woolery, who is the director, is one of the founding members of the Soul Project. So it was great to just be able to just arm that show with like so much love and support.
Yeah.
Just because we had been able to shepherd it from the beginning.
Perhaps that the impetus behind this might be that perhaps theater hadn't been including many Latinx voices in the past. Maybe, just a thought.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. When I arrived in New York in 2013, I moved here to work at the Public Theater, and I actually saw pretty quickly that I was like, yo, where's our people? Where are my Latinx sisters and brothers, and why are their plays not being why are they not being produced at the larger off-Broadway theaters?
Yeah.
And shout out though to the Latinx theaters that have been doing the work, Pregones, PRTT, Teatro Ayati, Repertorio Español. I mean, these are the companies that have been holding it down. Intar, thank you so much. Yes, absolutely. Lou Moreno, absolutely. But one of the things that we did with my dear friends is we started to actually collect data. I don't know if this would be interesting for the viewers.
Sure.
We started to actually collect data where we approached the largest theaters in New York, and we said, listen, I think that we can do better in terms of who we're supporting on our stages. And so we looked at the programming from 2007 to 2017. We identified the 10 largest theaters, and we looked at who are the writers and the directors they actually are putting on their main stage. And as you can imagine, that the numbers told a very telling story, because it was primarily white. It wasn't particularly inclusive, but I think that was a way to activate, meaningful conversation around here are what the numbers are, because I think sometimes companies think that they maybe are a little more inclusive than the data shows.
Right.
Yeah,
so
but when faced with the actual results of what you've done, then you don't really have anywhere to hide.
That's right.
Excuse me, we crunched the numbers. Here are the receipts.
So that's been and I it was a pretty simple exercise that anyone can do. And I encourage folks to do that the numbers tell a story, and the more that we can do that, and as a way to hopefully activate meaningful conversation, I think the better.
In good news, it was announced that you are about to be the new artistic director for the Longworth Theater in Connecticut. So first of all, congratulations. That's a very welcome
Cheers
change.
to that. Cheers to that.
Cheers to that.
Cheers.
Hold on. Wait. No, let's.
Cheers.
We'll drink for you. So one of the things that you said when you were taking on this role that we read about was that you would like to make it more diverse and inclusive. So
Yes.
Connecticut, how are you going to go about doing this?
Another great question. I think it's going to be, the work of creating a more inclusive American theater. I actually mentioned this the other day on another panel that I was on, that it's lifelong work, and that if we're waiting for utopia, we're not actually going to, that'll sort of stop us in our tracks, that it's kind of incremental progress. So I don't expect it to be easy. I feel like I'm gonna try to just continue to move the needle as best I can. The thing that I spoke about with a lot of passion during the process during the search process was that I'm really committed to nurturing and supporting and producing stories that are in conversation with the world and that reflect the community of New Haven. I think that we're the architects of creating a more inclusive theater, and we have to just be super rigorous in terms of widening the circle. So that's what I hope to do. I hope to arm myself with people who really believe in that mission and who want to support that mission. And big props to the folks at Longworth, because I think that they are excited by that idea, and they're excited by the promise of what the stage can do, because the stage can change lives, right? We have to move people from here to the gut, right? From the mind to the heart to the gut, which is something that I can't take credit for that. I actually learned it from a training that I took recently with the People's Institute for Survival and Beyond. They lead Undoing Racism workshops, and so I've been doing some grassroots organizing with some of my closest friends to really begin to activate, hopefully, meaningful, difficult conversations with artistic directors and cultural leaders, because we're all gatekeepers. We can all affect systemic change. And the facilitator talked about that, who led this training. She said, The work of actually creating a more just and liberated world is people moving from their head to their heart to their gut, and that we have to be critical lovers of our institutions. We have to be critical lovers of the things that we create. Like that you can love the thing that you made, and I think that for all of us who make up the American theater, we love our community. We love that we get to tell stories. And let's hold that joy, let's hold that excitement, but let's also hold the critique. How can we do better? How can we create a more just and liberated world? And having those two things sort of live side by side, I think, is the promise of the theater. It's the promise of our stages, that our stage can be a place to hold all our stories.
Can you tell us anything about things that we should look forward to from the Soul Project and or Long Wharf?
We love you. We want to see more.
I'm not gonna ask you what programming you're doing, obviously, but is there anything?
I would say definitely keep a lookout for. The Soul Project will hopefully have 2 shows coming up next year in partnership with 2 of our off-Broadway companies.
Great.
So I'm really excited about that. We're like actively having conversations about who's the writer, what is the play,
cool.
And that's so much of what makes the process pretty joyful, because we get to sort of do that work together with our partner companies. And then, with Long Wharf, my first season actually won't, I don't plan my first official season until 2021.
Got it.
But hopefully we'll be able to create some really exciting magic, and we'll get people from, certainly from the city, to come up to New Haven. And the other thing that I'm trying to figure out is what are the synergies that can exist between Long Wharf and the Soul Project? How can the work of Soul Project support Long Wharf, and how can the work of Long Wharf support the Soul Project? And I would love to just figure out what that relationship looks like, because it feels like there are synergies and there are things to
absolutely
right. Like we want to bring that work together as we just continue to create artistic homes for artists of color. Like that has to be, for me, that feels like such a animating value. It feels like the core pillar. It's the thing that I think I'm kind of dedicating my life's work to.
All right, well, we're coming to the tail end of our interview. So we're a talk show that recommends good theater to our audience, so we'd like you to recommend whatever you want to our audience. You can give it to the middle camera, you can give it to the roaming camera, that's the close-up, if you want a more intimate shot, whatever you want, just give it to the people.
I think I would just say that when you see the work of people of color being produced in New York and across the country, go and see the work. Because the other thing that we have to be thinking about is the economic impact. We have to show producers and our cultural leaders and our theaters that when you support people of color and you give them a platform and put them on your main stage, that we will come and we will support it.
Yes! That was awesome.
That was great. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Sure.
That
this
was
is great.
wonderful.
Thank you, Jacob, for coming by.
That was such a dope interview. Thank you so much. And thank you for what you're doing and bringing all these Latinx voices from the Soul Project. I love what I've seen so far, and I can't wait to see what you're going to do.
Keep an eye out for everything that the Soul Project does. And if you find yourself in New Haven, why don't you check out the Long Wharf? He's a new idea there, so it's going to be dope.
It's going to be so good.
And make sure you check out an extended interview right here.
It's really good. I would check out the whole thing because
we say that all the time, but it's true. So,
this time is really true.
And
like and subscribe. Look, it's right there. It feels so good, and it kind of helps keep these gears in motion, because it's a labor of love, and it would be great to, not spend so much money.
See you in the new year.
Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, all the good things.
All the holidays. Happy, merry, whatever it is. All the holidays.
We love you, New York.